What's up? What's up, everyone? Happy Thursday. What's up? It's Dr. Tamika here. Super excited to be with you today on another hot topic, right? Love talking about things that come up in my practice on a day to day basis and things I'm asked about on the weekend or when I'm out with friends. Um, or I get a crazy text message from a friend of a friend. So hopefully you are as excited as I am to hear this topic. And we're talking about why women need to understand how cortisol affects their health. As I have you join here on Instagram, and I am Dr. Tamika, and those of you joining me on Facebook inside of my private Facebook group, super excited to have you. Again, for those of you who are joining me on Facebook, if you see the application StreamYard there, if you click on it, it really allows me the opportunity to see your comments so I can engage more effectively with you. So I truly look forward to seeing you. So if you see that, by all means, click on it so I can see your information there, and then I can continue to converse with you more easily. So those of you inside of the Art of Unlimited Facebook group, Art of and Living an Unlimited Life, join me here. And then those of you on Instagram, let's do this. Let's talk a little bit. So as we talk about this topic of why women need to understand how their cortisol affects their health, there's in our bodies, right? Balance is so important. And what I mean by that is balance comes out to the fact of having your cortisol, which is your hormone that's produced by your adrenal glands. It performs so many different functions, right? It helps in reducing inflammation. It helps in regulating your blood pressure, formulating memories. It helps with metabolizing glucose for my diabetics out there. We really want to get that cortisol under control. And it also helps with our circadian rhythm regulation. Many of these various tasks can contribute to the role that cortisol has in the fight or flight response. You know, our body is divided into we have the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic, and we have the parasympathetic. So that fight or flight response is dealing with the sympathetic system. And so when your body senses danger, the cortisol kicks in, and the physiologic response, what actually happens is it either enables you to flee from danger or to fight it, right? So fight or flight. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood flow starts to move to your major muscle groups, and your nervous system is in a hyper alert state, right? It's in a hyper alert state, all dealing with, related to, or pertaining to that cortisol hormone, right? So as we think about it, our cortisol hormone is sort of like acts like adrenaline, right? In the state of emergency, an emergency preparedness night, even the ability to clot. So if you cut yourself, you want to stop bleeding, your blood increases in that particular scenario. But the cortisol hormone is so important, even as it relates to injury, to create a fast supply of energy so you metabolize carbohydrates faster, right? From a evolutionary point of view, you want to think about cortisol really makes a lot of sense, right? Long ago, during the time where people were out there, cavemen, right? They had direct threats that were impacting their bodies, right? So they had to have a physiological response, one that serves us in stressful situations. Well, right now we're not out there fighting for food or anything like that. However, we have the stressors of modern day life, right? The chronic stress. And many of us have a sedentary lifestyle. The cortisol our body releases in times of stress isn't necessarily required to initiate what we would say is a physiological response. Now let's talk about this. How high cortisol affects women. How high levels of cortisol affect women. As we think about people being in more of a sedentary lifestyle, right? They're sitting there and not really being active. Many women suffer from an imbalance in their cortisol levels. And excess cortisol can lead to many problems within our body. So let's talk about some of them. Elevated blood pressure, irritability. Now, when you see people and you've interacted with them, like they're awfully irritable all the time, you may be wondering in the back of their mind, they must have some cortisol imbalances. Weight gain, particularly in the belly and the upper back. You know that back fat that many people want to get rid of, especially women? Think about cortisol levels. Unexplained fatigue, no matter how many hours of sleep you get. I just had a patient the other day who said they go to bed at like 9 o'clock, up at 9 p.m. and up at 6 a.m. and still exhausted. Trouble focusing, muscle weakness, headaches, memory problems, indigestion, libido issues, insomnia, not getting enough sleep. And especially for my menopausal women, these symptoms can be particularly pronounced. So if you know someone who's in the menopausal age or perimenopause, and by definition, menopause means you have not had a cycle, a monthly cycle for 1 year. Cortisol levels rise at the end of menstruation, exacerbating the menstrual symptoms at an already so very difficult time, right? So in achieving hormonal imbalance. So during that cycle, if your cortisol is off, yeah, your hormones and your mood swings and irritability and not able to focus and just feeling exhausted, yeah, it's heightened during these times. This is one of the main contributors, one of the main reasons why people complain about menopause, of having that excess belly fat. If you're around that menopause age, perimenopausal age, or you know someone in that age, they complain about having excess belly fat. So in menstruating women who are still having their monthly cycle, having their period, the excess cortisol, believe it or not, can lead to painful, heavy, and even sometimes absent periods. And when estrogen is lowered from a continued stress cortisol production, all the female hormone imbalances such as night sweats, sleep problems, and mood swings seem to be an issue. They get even worse. So let's talk about some steps to balance the cortisol level. And when I think about this, I want you to just understand there are some things you can do right now today that can help you with your cortisol levels. And they're very simple. We're just going to make it sweet and to the point. 3 points. Number one, eat for success. Reducing the sugar, simple carbs. Studies have shown that, when we're dealing with refined carbohydrates and sugar, raises your cortisol levels. And which is crazy about that is that a high sugar diet can also make your body less efficient in producing cortisol when in a stressful situation. So we want to make sure that we are producing cortisol in the right proportion as to what's going on with our bodies, as opposed to it being out of proportion. It's important to drink lots of water. It's important to get the fiber on board. Our gut microbiome influences hormone production. A healthy microbiome requires high fiber intake in order to stimulate the production of good bacteria in the microbiome. We should probably have a whole other section on microbiome. Choose omega-3s, right? The anti-inflammatory qualities of omega-3 fatty acids help reduce cortisol levels. And foods high in omega, like fatty fish, salmon, flax seeds, chia seeds, nuts, like walnuts, are really important when you're choosing omega-3s. So if you're like, I can't take a fish oil supplement, well, let's think about getting it in our foods. When we think about fermented foods, that's another thing that can help us as we eat for success. Fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut can help contribute to healthy bacteria levels in your gut, which helps promote hormone production. So we want to make sure we get is what we can do on our part to help improve our cortisol levels. So definitely eating for success. Number two, take your supplements smartly, meaning get the right things inside of you. I just had a new patient today that had bought all these supplements, and unfortunately, they're taking the things that aren't going to have the benefit to it because it's full of junk, soy, wheat, corn, sugar. That's not helpful. So supplements that help reduce inflammation and improve gut health can help support cortisol levels. So consider, again, your fish oil with your omega-3 fatty acid, which is high quality fish oil supplements, ashwagandha. And I always laugh because I used to take this course at IFM, which is the Institute of Functional Medicine, and they would talk about ashwagandha. And I'm like, what is ashwagandha? Well, the ashwagandha is an adaptogen, which actually helps your body cope with stress by lowering cortisol production. So many of us, I wish we can put a little bit of ashwagandha in the water right now to help us out. Other thing that's calming, chamomile tea. How many of you out there are tea drinkers? I love tea, absolutely love it. So when we have tea on board, it's really helpful to help calm things down. So if we're thinking of ways to improve our bodies as it relates to our topic today of why women need to understand how cortisol affects their health and ways to keep the balance, to balance out the cortisol levels, we're eating for success, but you also want to supplement smartly. Taking any new supplements should be discussed with your healthcare practitioner, a functional medicine doctor. If I can be of service to you, ask me in the chat. But it's important that you understand various supplements may not be the best for you because they're loaded with products that aren't helpful or healthy, or even doing what their claim to fame is because they don't have enough of the active ingredients. Make sure you're reading the active ingredients and the inactive ingredients, or the other ingredients that are listed inside of your supplements. Number three, reducing daily stress. Chronic stress can contribute to so many different things. as it relates to your cortisol, because your body is in a constant state of alert. Like you're like a deer with, as they see a deer in headlights. Your just eyes are open up big wide, right? That's how your body is. So we have to reduce that stressful state, right? And it's often easier said than done, I'll admit it. But focusing on coping mechanisms to help address this can help you deal with stressful situations. Obviously, you want to get enough sleep, right? It's frustrating because so many people were just tired. We produce so much more cortisol when we aren't getting enough rest, right? We may produce so much to the point that it's like a stimulant, right? But that cortisol, we don't want to we need that cortisol to be high at night, and we need our cortisol to be low at night, and melatonin should be high at night. So if your cortisol is revved up, you're the person who has a hard time falling asleep. Like if your cortisol is way too high, you're like, no matter what I do, it's like I cannot fall asleep. So a lot of times that's an issue if you're not falling asleep because your cortisol is too high. So we need to dampen that cortisol response, bring it down. When we think about it, coming up with a nighttime routine, setting an alarm to go to bed, a regular bedtime, it can also help. Setting up a restful environment, making sure that it's equipped for you to fall asleep where you're in a relaxed state. Avoid alcohol, screen time, large meals. And for some of us, avoiding intense exercise before going to bed should be considered, because that can also be a form of stress on the body that wakes you up. You want to associate sleep with peace. I would also recommend to reduce daily stress is spending time in nature. That's one of the best prescriptions of all time. Going out, going for a walk, going for a hike, being outside can lower your stress response, including your cortisol production. It doesn't have to be some crazy hike, just a nice, gentle walk, just something that is taking you through the neighborhood or maybe around your building if you're working, or maybe around your home. Whatever the case may be, this is essential, can help you spend time in nature and help calm you down. Also, when we think about working on your relaxation responses, right? So how are you relaxing? Is it meditation? Is it yoga? Is it breath work? Is it sitting there and just calming your thoughts down? Mindful meditation is very powerful as it relates to reducing daily stress. The issue is so many people don't realize that you may know all this or you may not, but you have to do the steps to actually implement. So if you're noticing, oh my gosh, this is too much, like I've had a crazy stressful week, deep breath for me work. Prayer works for me. Just sitting down and just doing some relaxation yoga, which is really, really powerful for me as well. So just sitting there and holding child's pose for about 3 to 5 minutes can be very rewarding as far as bringing my stress level down. And also be careful of the company you keep. Have you ever noticed that some people are inherently stressful to be around? They're always on edge. Maybe that's not the person to be around all the time. Creating that positive social relationships can improve your overall response to stress. If you're not able to like woo-saw and calm yourself down, who can you talk to? Who can you listen to? And that helps you realize, okay, this is just a moment in time. And ask yourself, will this matter in 5 minutes? Will this matter in 5 hours? Will this matter in 5 days? Will this matter in 5 months? Will this matter in 5 years? Ask yourself, if that's the case, and let's redirect where all this stress is going towards. Will this matter in the next few minutes? Because as you start to pay attention to what's impacting you, you'll start to get a hold of the various things to reduce your daily stress. So when we think about when stress is out of whack, when your cortisol level is going crazy, you can have high blood pressure, blood sugar instability, not sleeping, headaches, problems with your memory, fatigue, no sex drive, insomnia, weight gain, irritability. It's just always getting sick. All these things are coming along because your cortisol level is not where it's supposed to be. So on today, I encourage you to eat for success, to supplement smartly, paying attention to what you're putting into your body, making sure it has the effective ingredients in it, and then reduce your stress daily, whether it's improving your sleep, spending time in nature, working on your relaxation responses, or changing the circle of people you have around you. If you recognize any of these signs and symptoms associated with cortisol, then I encourage you to do better by implementing one of the techniques I've talked about today. Not that you have to, but that you get to. So on today, I am thrilled that you have joined me for our talk on why women need to understand how cortisol affects their health. Because If your cortisol is off, that may be contributing to the weight gain. That may be contributing why the relationships aren't working the way you would like for it to work. It may be contributing to why, no matter what you do, your blood pressure is not controlled. Your blood sugar is not controlled. You feel off. Your hormones are off altogether. Take a moment, recognize the power of the breath. Take a deep breath. Smile. Think about something that gives you joy, because joy is essential for what comes out of you, and spread it to others. Focus on a memory that makes you feel good. Oh, my phone almost fell. Sorry about that. Almost fell. Just think about what brings you the joy to do the things that you do. Reflect on all the positives that are going on around you. There's enough going on. There's enough going on in the world. Let's focus on what's going to help you be more in balance. What's going to help you as a woman, as a man, improve your health? Well, deep breaths, eating for success, supplementing smartly, and having the right circle of people around you. And if you haven't found that right circle, it's okay. It's out there for you. Take a moment and just reevaluate who's around you. Reevaluate. I just met some new people last week, Tuesday. I went to a conference at USC. And it was a women's conference. It was like Women We Thrive. And I met two amazing women. One is a pharmacist in Orange County, and one is a physician in Orange County. And we just happened to meet. And I can tell you, they're now in my circle, because we hung out, we've exchanged phone numbers, we've been talking. And when you start to meet people of like-mindedness, it really encourages you and empowers you to continue to do the work that you are put on this earth to do. So I'm put on this earth to encourage, to uplift, and to educate. What are you put on this earth to do? Use your power and impart it to other people, because we need more of you in the world. With that being said, stay encouraged, stay uplifted. I will catch you next week, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. Work on you, not that you have to, but that you get to. Until then, see you later on Instagram. Be encouraged. And here on Facebook, love you very much. Don't ever stop working on you. Please don't. It's my privilege. It's my utmost, how can I put this? It's just an utmost thrill of mine. It's a blessing to be able to encourage you. So with that, talk with you soon. Work on you.